Well, hi everybody. Welcome to Basic Video Editing in Adobe Premiere. So we are going to start off with using a couple of free resources for stock footage and sound. I have two websites linked. Now, there are a lot of websites out there, okay? There are tons and tons and tons where you can get stock sound and video, but these are just the two examples that I have today. So use these today, and then, you can explore other options later on. So for stock video, we're going to use Pexels. What I want you to do is go ahead and navigate to the site. You're going to go ahead and search for video content. Now, there are lots of different videos and different, they frame it differently. So some of it's more of like if you were to frame it with a cell phone standing up or a portrait, and some are in a landscape. So I'm not sure if you can search the videos the way you can search the photographs in terms of portrait versus landscape, but that's okay. Let's just go ahead and grab a few different types of videos. So I am going to go ahead and grab this food video. This looks great. So this is going to be more of a portrait style, and I'm going to go ahead and hit free download, and it's going to download that video. Now, your videos are going to download to wherever your browser is telling your downloads to go. So if your downloads go to downloads, that's where they're going to end up. Mine download to my desktop because I like to see what's going on and move the stuff around. So here's my video that I just downloaded. And what I want you to do is go ahead and organize all of these in one place, because we are going to organize them all into one folder before we start editing anything, okay? So there's my one video. So let's grab between 3 and 5 videos. It's up to you. I'm gonna look for I'm gonna look for an ocean video, let's say, just for fun. Now, the sizes of the video do matter depending on what it is that you're doing, but don't worry about that today, because I'm going to show you how to deal with that in the actual software once we get in there. So videos, if you don't know, you can take video at different sizes. It has different compression rates. It actually it can become to feel quite overwhelming, but for the type of content that we're going to be making in this class and the type of things that we're going to be doing, we're going to be just dealing with some basic video. So we're not going to be going through how to process 4K or anything like that, because quite frankly, a typical machine is not going to be able to handle that. So we're going to be focusing on video content for roller skates. Yes. That's a yes for the roller skate video. So, we're going to be focusing on the type of content you might make for social media or that might be shared on YouTube and things like that. So we don't need to worry about really, really, really high resolution video. Okay, so I'm just going to grab, let's see if we can get a video of a bird. Yeah, so go ahead and download a few things. I'm just going to grab a bird video and call it good. I don't know why this isn't searching. There we go. All right, and I am going to go ahead. Oh, there's so many intriguing birds. How about these swans? Let's do it. All right, so I'm going to download the swans, and I'm going to call it good on video. Now, there are lots of audio resources out there as well. The example I'm using today is freesound.org, which is an excellent resource. You do have to sign up. Just use like your school email or something. There's nothing weird with it, but they do want you to go ahead and create a profile and log in. So you can grab sound from here. and you can search up here in the search box. So I am just going to grab something called Piano Loops. So you can grab something from this website and create a profile. If you already have some music on your computer, you can use that as well. Or you can download from another source if you have another source you already like to use. I will link other sources to you. But for today, for what we're doing, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to use this piano loop right here. So I'm going to go ahead and click into it, and I'm going to hit download. And I'm just going to give that a second to download. So what we are going to do, and what you need to do as a video content creator, is you need to stay organized. It's really, really important to stay organized. So we're going to create a folder, and you're going to call it whatever you want. I'm going to call it vid tutorial, okay? And before you get started with your video project, you're going to put all the assets that you're going to use for it into the folder. You can do this on your desktop or somewhere else on your computer, but the best thing to do is all of the assets that you're using for your project need to all be in one folder. If you add assets later on, that's totally cool, but you need to put everything in the folder. So any extra clips that you might download or anything that you might use need to go in your project folder. Now, when I'm working on a project, I typically like to work on my desktop. Some people like to work off of a hard drive, you know, if space is an issue. I will tell you, working with animation and video and you know, really any moving image content, you want to have some free space on your computer. So anyways, have a couple of videos and an audio file ready to go, and get those into a folder wherever that may be before we get started. The next thing we're going to do is go ahead and launch Adobe Premiere. So we'll let that launch and get going. So yeah, we have a couple of different things going on. Now with the stock audio and video, it is important to give credit to your sources, but for today's purposes, we're not going to worry about that because you're doing this tutorial for purely educational reasons. And you know, although you might be posting this to turn it in, you're not looking for monetary gain with your tutorial files necessarily, okay? So I'm just going to put that here. I've got Premiere going, and I'm going to go ahead and enlarge this so you can see. So you can see I have some recent projects here that I've been working on, but really all we're going to do today is we're going to start a new project. So you're going to go ahead and hit that new project button. You're going to see this dialog box pop up. Up here is our project name. So I'm going to go ahead and call that video tutorial. And then I get a project location up here in the upper left-hand corner. So mine is actually going to a place that I do not want it to go. It's going to another project that I was working on, and that is a lot of times the case. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this and choose the location. And what I want you to do is I want you to point it to the folder that you created for this project. So just a little breakdown of how video editing or nonlinear based editing works is when you start a project file and you're bringing videos into that project file, it doesn't store the videos inside. You know, I think of like Photoshop, how Photoshop can store the images inside of the project file. Video editing doesn't work that way. It can't work that way because the video files are too big. So what it does is it creates a project file, but then it continues to source these files, these original files, as you're chopping and editing and mixing. And then what it does is when you get done and you export, it creates a new video, right, which is your final product or final project. So anyways, I want you to save your project file in here. It gets real messy when you have video files all over the place on your desktop or saved in weird places, and your video tutorial project file is saved in a weird place, your projects can get wrecked because you don't know where your assets are pretty quickly. All right, so I went ahead and named it. I gave it a place to live. And so what I'm going to do, there's all these like video clips, you know, and things that you can use, but we're just going to ignore all of that. And I want you to just hit create. Okay. And so what that's going to do is open up into our project interface. And this looks really intimidating at first, but don't worry, I'm going to walk you through it. And just real quick, I'm going to make my mouse cursor a little bit bigger so that you can see it a little bit better. So give me just a second. Okay, so we're just going to make this really big and cartoonish, but I think it helps in the tutorials so that you can see what's going on. All right, so the areas that you're going to get used to is right here. We have project video tutorial. This is going to be where all your files sort of live. Those files that we just downloaded, we're going to bring those into here. Your timeline sequences exist in here too, which we're going to create here in a moment. And then you basically have your canvas window, and then you have some effect controls and some effects over here, okay? This can get moved around and adjusted depending on what you want to do. There are different types of workspaces that you can use, but for today we're going to keep it very simple, all right? So there's a few different ways that you can bring your content into your project. You can, from here, I believe, hit Command I to import. So that's one way. You can also drag and drop your content in here. And then I believe you can search through your file system as well. But I am just going to, let's see, I think you can also go up here and just hit import as well. But I'm going to just, so there's 3 tabs up here. So you've got import, edit, and then export, which is your exporting interface. So those are 3 different ways you can kind of navigate the different files. But we're going to just sit in the edit menu, and I'm going to go ahead and have your video, your project video tutorial tab highlighted. There's also a media browser here, which you can also access your assets, but we're just going to sit in here, and I want you to hit Command I or Control I if you're on a PC. Okay, and it's going to bring that import dialog up. We're going to go to video tutorial, and you're going to shift select your video files and whatever audio file it was that you decided to use. And it's going to bring them in here, okay? So the first thing that we need to do is create a timeline sequence to work on. So right now this is kind of an empty area. One way to do this is to drag and drop a video onto the timeline. What that will do is it will take that video file and it will make your timeline canvas window the same size as that particular video file. But we have an issue because we don't really know what sizes our videos are. And you can see here that it creates a timeline asset, which you can see with this little blue box right here. When you hover over it, it says sequence. So this is actually an editing timeline. It's not a piece of video or anything. It's just a timeline to work on. In this tutorial, we're only going to work with one sequence, but as you can imagine with large scale projects, you might be working with, several hundred sequences if it's a feature film or something. So I'm going to highlight this sequence because I actually don't want it. And I'm just going to hit the delete key and it's gone. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is you can go into File Explorer on a PC or Finder on a Mac. And I actually want to see a little bit of info on the sizes of my files. So let me just back out a full screen on here. So I want to kind of see what I'm dealing with, and I suppose I can look this up in Premiere as well. But anyway, so if I go to desktop and I go to the video tutorial, I can kind of get some information on my videos right here. So I can see, for example, that this video is 2100 pixels by 3800 pixels, which is quite large. And these stock sites are probably going to have quite large videos. This one's 1920 by 1080, which is a really standard size of video for YouTube, and that is actually what we are going to be working with, YouTube and other types of video, video content uploaded to different types of sites. The 1920 by 1080 is kind of a standard size. This ocean video is quite large. This is 4000 by 2100 pixels. And then the roller skate video is a 1280 by 720, which is a little bit small. So we're dealing with different video sizes, and that's okay. I'm going to show you how you can bring them in. We're going to work on a 1920 by 1080 pixel canvas, and we're going to resize those so that they all fit together, okay? Anyway, so you can see your sizes here, which I think is kind of an easy way to do it. But anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and create a new sequence in here. So I'm going to go up to my top menu, and I'm going to go to File, New, Sequence, and I'm actually going to choose the size of the sequence. So what I want you to pick, there's a lot of options here, everybody, and this can be really overwhelming. But we're going to just stick to HDV, which is high definition video. We're going to choose HDV 1080 by 24 frames, okay? That's just kind of a standard online video progression rate and compression rate. I'm going to call this, I don't know, I suppose tutorial. And you're going to go ahead and hit OK. So it's going to create a timeline. Let's go ahead and drag and drop a video on here. Now, I happen to remember that the Swan video is 1920 by 1080 pixels. So I'm going to go ahead and drag and drop on there, and it's probably not going to give me a lot of grief. Oh, it is going to. So what's going to happen is it's going to give you this clip mismatch warning. And it's going to say that this clip doesn't exactly match your settings. Do you want to change the sequence to match the clip settings? And you do not. You want to keep your existing settings. So go ahead and click that. And you can see that it seems that the video is fitting on there okay, but it's probably a little bit, it seems like it's a little bit too big. So the very first thing we're going to do is change the size of the video. So if you click on your video clip, you're going to see over here under effect controls. Now, if you don't have effect controls selected, you have these other links here. You're going to click on effect controls. If you don't see that, you can pull up any of these windows by having them check marked under window, okay? Any window that's missing, you always want to look here and see if it's accidentally hidden. Ones with check marks are showing, ones without check marks are not showing. So anyways, when effect controls, there's nothing here, but when we click on the video, you're going to see that you have some controls for position, scale, rotation, and opacity. So what we're going to do is we're going to just start by adjusting the scale a little bit. And if I bring it in, I'm going to see, oh, actually my video is sitting perfectly on there. So even despite that mismatch warning, it was probably just by a few pixels or whatever, the swans are fitting in here quite nicely. So I'm going to leave those alone. And then I'm going to go ahead and bring in the ocean footage. Now I know the ocean footage is really big. I remember from kind of looking at them. So if I look at this footage, you can see here that we're very zoomed in on the rock. And if I just look at my clip right here, I can see, wow, like, you know, this is really zoomed in. So how are we going to fix it? We need to shrink it down. So I'm going to click onto the rock asset here, and we're gonna scale it down, and you're gonna see, oh yeah, that video is quite large. So we're just gonna fit it. It's not gonna be perfect. I don't really want black bars on the top and bottom for this video, so I'm gonna go ahead and sacrifice the sides of this particular composition, and I'm gonna scale it to just fit perfectly on here, okay? So there we go. All right, so let's go ahead and bring in the other assets. Now the roller skating video, if I remember, it was pretty small. So let's go ahead and drag and drop it on there and clip it. Yeah, that's a little bit small. It's probably smaller than I'd ideally like, but let's just say I really need this for my video, and you know, it's just gonna be a quick clip. So we're gonna blow this one up a little bit. Okay, so let's just drag it and blow it up. And it's looking pretty good. Now, one thing that I want to tell you about this canvas window is you can change the size of the display here. So let's say I want to make this a little bit smaller. Right now it's fitting exactly to this window. That's what the fit is for. You can back it out to be like 25%. Sometimes you need a view like this. It's useful depending on what it is that you're doing. But fit usually, you know, it usually works really well. If you back it out to like 25% and then click on the asset and do scale, you can kind of get a sense of the overlap, you know, so sometimes that can be really useful. But let's just go ahead and scale it to the canvas window, and we're gonna hit fit. Over here, you see that this is a fraction of 25% or 1/4. This is your playback resolution. So when you're working in editing, video editing and animation applications, you can set your resolution to playback at a low res, which is ideal for your computer. Otherwise, it's reprocessing your view at 100% all the time, which really eats up processing power in your computer, and it makes it run slower. So if I choose full, you know, you're gonna see the video quality and the playback in here be a lot better, but it's gonna slow my computer down. So it's kind of like once you have a sense of what your imagery looks like, if you bring it down to 1/4 or even half, you're going to have, you know, a lot less stress on your machine. Now, I know there are a lot of other things going on in this interface, you guys, but we're just focusing on the basics today so that you don't get overwhelmed, okay? So we've got the roller skate video. Now the last one is the food video. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop that on the timeline. Now my timeline's getting a little bit small, and I'd like to see these clips a little bit better. So I'm gonna show you how to zoom in to that. What you can do is you've got this little bar down at the bottom, and there's 2 dots on either side. So we can squeeze it down to zoom into the timeline a bit. Another thing you can do is you can see you've got video 1, 2, and 3. These are for different layers, something we'll get a little bit more into. And then you have audio options as well. Well, you can move these around to give yourself a little bit more visual space. So if I hover over this and drag it up, you can see my video clips get a little bigger. And that lets me see them a little better. And you even get a bit of a preview on them, right? So I'm going to come over to this food video, and I see that it's gigantic. So I'm going to click on it. It also has audio attached to it, which we don't really need. I'm going to show you how to get rid of that. But let's go ahead and scale this down. Okay, so now that's fitting on the screen. And that's exactly what I want. So we're just going to do a quick edit of these with our razor blade tool. So your toolbox is right here. There's just a few tools in video editing software. There's not a ton to do. There's lots of effects and things, but in terms of your toolbox, what you're gonna do is grab the razor blade. The shortcut for this is your C key for cut. So you can also hit that, and you can see that a razor blade appears. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these down so that they're all about the same size. So I'm going to make a cut here. and a cut maybe here, and maybe cut this one here. Now I want to get rid of my extra video content. So I'm going to go back to the selection tool, which the quick key for that is V. So if I hit V, I've got my pointer back. I'm going to highlight the video content that I don't want. Now, understand this is a very quick, crude edit, okay? There's a lot of different ways to do this. And let me actually back up because I'm not explaining something. So when I click this video, and say I want to get rid of this part of it, I'm going to hit delete. And then if I click the empty area and I hit delete, it's going to get rid of that space for me, which is kind of nice. So I'm going to delete, click the space, delete, click the space, and hit delete again. Now I've got a nice short, we're at about 30 seconds of video here. It's all the same size and fitting on the frame the way that I want it to. Now I just have this audio file that I want to get rid of. So I'm going to go ahead, and you can control click if you're on a Mac or right click if you're on a PC. And you're going to choose about 1/3 down this unlink option. And what it's going to do is it's going to unlink the video and the audio file from one another. So I'm just going to highlight that audio file and I'm going to delete it. Okay, so we're at about 26 minutes. We're going to go ahead and take a break. So I'm going to show you how to save your project and then close your project and reopen it, okay? Now, if you go up to the top menu and you go to File and Save, you're going to save your project there. You can also hit Command S or Control S if you're on a PC. So I'm going to save my project, okay? And then we can go ahead and quit Premiere. Now, if you're going to just move on to the next video from here in this tutorial, you don't need to quit Premiere, but I just want to show you what the process looks like to quit a video project and then open it back up, okay? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and quit Premiere Pro, and I will see you in the next video.